Sean here with the Galaxy Fold 1 month later. For those who haven't seen my definitive review, all that stuff still stands. Please check that out. Otherwise, I learned a couple more things. The first in terms of usability, reliability, using this day to day. First and foremost, the Galaxy Fold still works. I think it's ready for the mainstream and I actually use this every day. Not one of those guys who just goes in and says I use it and then I actually don't. There's a lot of reviewers out there that say you have to use in a bubble, away from environments that's so fragile. I think this is ready for the mainstream and all that's overblown. It's quite hilarious actually. Think of this like using it like the iPhone 5. The iPhone 5 wasn't weatherproof, but it was sturdy enough to get through the day. For this, one major flaw that I found is that even though all the tests about the bendability, that's fine. I think this will survive the lifetime of the device. But pressure. With the hinge here, when you press on both here, the top sides and the bottom sides, whether it's in a tight jean pocket, or you're pressing it or squeezing it too hard in your bag if it's stacked between books or laptops, I found a vulnerability here where it's starting to creak. So think about these two halves right here and how they kind of rub against each other when you squeeze or when you kind of tilt the device. You can't hear it, but you can feel it on this device that it's not as tight as it once was. I've talked to some of my engineer friends, folks who, hardware engineer folks, who say it could be dust or the hinge isn't ready for torque. And I'm a little worried about that. So recently, I've taken extra precautions to make sure I don't put this in tight spaces, whether it be in my jean pockets or like tight jeans or in the back pockets, which you never should, because then you might bend the phone, but I haven't had any other issues besides the creakiness of the top and the bottom. Using it day to day, I found myself, like I said in the definitive review, using it one-handed mode about 70% of the time. I can't open it one hand yet, although I'd like to, but using it in one hand, I'm using a small screen, and sometimes I use it so much that I fool myself just using this like regular phone and realizing that, oh wait, I can open up the phone and get the full screen. When I am using it this way though, I still use it in one hand, and that's with two major hacks. One, the accessibility settings that I talked about in the definitive review. Go ahead in your Samsung One UI, enable all those accessibility features. You'll have the home button, pulling down notifications panel, multitasking, the back button, all right next to your thumb, or enable toggles down here for the home, back, or the multitasking button as well. There's a lot of hacks you can do to make sure that your hand, using one hand mode, exists only on the right side of the phone. The second hack, besides the accessibility settings, is this app here, and it's called Trackpad. Trackpad is free on the App Store, and that puts a little mouse cursor right on your screen like the accessibility setting that you can press anytime. And now I can reach the top left-hand corner of my device with ease, and once I'm done with that, clicking any button or app, I can swipe it down and get back to the regular touch mode. It's free, and for some apps that aren't optimized for using the back button or getting to the top of the screen where that little X is on the top left corner, it's been a godsend. Mainly for me, I check Reddit every day, and there are some buttons here that you have to check in the top left section that you just simply can't reach, and I'm using this mouse feature all the time. And one more thing for one-handability, for my text messages here, let's just say I'm texting my brother Joe, use the Google Gboard. I've switched out from Samsung's keyboard full stop, because now I'm able to press this one-hand mode, and one-hand mode I can change the size of the keyboard and swipe to where how far my thumb can reach. Customizing the keyboard for your own reach and preferences, how you use it. Okay, so one thing I want to mention using it in one-hand mode is I'm a little confused 1 month later about my social media apps. So using Snapchat and Instagram, it's kind of tough because if I want to use it this way, it's a little small and you don't really get to see profile pictures. I feel like I don't use social media as much on this phone because you're going to use it for the back camera, which I have. Photo qualities aren't as good as the iPhone generally, except for the ultra wide. Snapchat I kind of use as much, and Facebook I don't really want to check posts in such a small screen. But then when I open it, I'm still facing this confusion where Do I take up the phone, open it, and then launch Snapchat to get that quick snap? And then even if I'm on Instagram, do I do it there? Now you see they're kind of overblown, the images, in scrolling feeds. It was much more natural on the iPhone. And the Fold, like I said, even with all these hacks, it's a little awkward. So I find myself, look at Facebook, it's all the way in the top left corner. Using that mouse, I'll click that and I'll check it, but I don't feel like I'm as connected. It takes a lot more time to scroll through posts because it's so blown up. So I use it a little less, and you'll notice a difference once you grab a regular size Galaxy S10, Note 10, or the iPhone, or the new Pixel line, that the one-handed regular phone format allows you to blaze through social media apps and kind of check them more on the regular because they were built from the ground up for those apps. Whereas here it's like, do I really want to open a Snap? Do I really want to open all these social media apps? Kind of, I'll read it for feeds, but not too much. So social media use has gone down because, quite frankly, some apps are still awkward. Because one of the other things I overlooked was how essential this case was. This case is the best case on the market because there's not that many accessories. Even 1 month out, I still feel like the Fold is very limited in stock, but there's a fine textured grip here where I can feel like I can kind of spider across the device. I know that sounds kind of weird, but when I'm using a one-hand mode and I kind of want to get to like this bottom section, I'll literally just do this with the phone and sometimes hold it like this a little fragilely to get to Samsung Pay or get the home button notch right there. It looks wonky, but when you're lazy or using one-handed mode or in bed and really don't want to use both hands, this textured grip makes a world of difference. Again, there's not that many accessories. I've had no troubles with the USB-C port. The Samsung Members app really doesn't apply to this. You're not going to get the latest Android updates, especially for this form factor. And it surprised a lot of my peers and friends and waiters. People stop me all the time saying, is that the Fold? And they're mainly surprised with how small it is. Every time they open it, they think, oh, it should be bigger. And I find that they enjoy it, and they're debating if it's either this or the iPhone. It's your preferences. For me, it's all screen real estate. I'm very happy with this purchase. So to sum it up, this is ready for the mainstream. I found ways to use it one-handed mode to make sure that it's a full device. When I really need to power down, sure, I'll open it with two hands and use it. But when I wake up in the morning, it's like, what's the first device that you want to pick up and check for your main notifications, for work mails, for emails over the night? It used to be the iPhone, and it took me a while to really restructure my daily habits to grab and trust the Samsung Galaxy Fold and the Samsung One UI and Android, but I've gotten there. I've gotten used to it, and I'm really happy with this purchase. All right, guys, so that's 1 month in. It's still working. What's your main phone? Let me know in the comments below and subscribe to the channel. Thank you, everybody, for supporting us. Thank you, everyone, for supporting the channel. All right, guys, bye-bye.